Hello everyone, my name's Rich and welcome to episode 3 of The Retrorectionist. Today we're going to be looking at Techmoon's Deadpool for the NES. So yeah, I'm quite excited about that. Episode 3, I can't quite believe it. I only meant to make one. So yeah, things are going pretty well. Everyone's been really lovely in the comments section. Thank you very much to those of you who have subscribed. That's been wonderful. I can't believe I've got so many subscribers. I had 5 for like about 10 years. So yeah, everything's been going really well. In fact, well, one thing hasn't been going so well. Our watch time could be better. And yeah, it's up to me to make the videos more exciting so people watch them longer. I get it. But you could be doing something too, couldn't you? You could be, instead of switching it off when you're watching it and going, oh God, this is boring, I'll put on something else. Just leave it running. Just let it run round. Go and make a tea or a coffee. Talk to someone. And then come back once it's finished. And there we go. Everybody wins. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Roll credits. Despite the NES's substantial library, there's actually only a few superhero games available on the system, and even fewer still that I would recommend. The best of the bunch is Sunsoft's Batman, and if that's not your cup of tea, you've got Sunsoft's Batman, Return of the Joker. In case anyone's thinking about it, I don't consider the Ninja Turtles to be superheroes. I don't really know why. This seems like a rather glaring oversight, especially when you consider the popularity of superheroes and how well they should lend themselves to the video game genre, and that's why I'm particularly excited to talk to you about today's game. It's one thing to release games that carry on this life of a system. It's an entirely different thing to reach back for an ocean of time and try and fix a mistake like this in a system's past. Deadpool was created by a development team called Techmoon. It's a side-scrolling platformer where you play as everyone's favourite postmodernist mercenary. You'll hack, slash and shoot your way through multiple levels of irreverent mayhem and see some familiar faces along the way. For those of you acquainted with the NES, you're probably thinking, there's something very familiar about all this. And that's because, strictly speaking, Deadpool isn't an entirely new game. It's technically what is referred to as a hack. In other words, rather than being built from the ground up, it's built around the skeleton of another game. In this case, Techmoon's highly enjoyable and in no way maddening Ninja Gaiden. But before you roll your eyes, or worse yet, switch off, because we're working on the old watch time. This is much more than just a reskin of a Ninja Gaiden. I get the feeling that a lot of work has gone into this game. Redesigned levels, new game mechanics, really cool cutscenes, and a few other little surprises lead me to believe that Techmoon really cared about what they were doing with this Deadpool hack. Okay, so before we get started, let's talk about one of the coolest things about Techmoon's Deadpool, and that is that it is absolutely free. If you look in the description box, I've put a link to where you can check out Deadpool and an emulator that'll run it right now. Well, not right now because we're doing this right now, aren't we? So we'll probably finish this up first. It's only a cool 8 minutes to go, and then we'll head over and check it out. But we'll finish this first because that seems like the right thing to do. I should also say at this point there was actually a physical release of Deadpool with a cool box and awesome instruction manual, but I missed out on that, so I can't show it to you, which is unfortunate. But hey-oh, those are the breaks. The game starts with a tutorial stage, which is a nice modern touch. You'll be introduced to the basic controls and all of Deadpool's unique abilities. As usual, the directional pad gets you around the screen and A jumps and B slashes your sword. You use the select button to cycle through your secondary weapons and up and B to use them. So far, so Ninja Gaiden, but let's take a look at some of the changes, and we'll start with my personal favourite, wall climbing. In the original Ninja Gaiden, you sort of bounce from wall to get to higher areas. It was okay, but personally I never found it as satisfying or as fluid as the wall jumping in the Batman game, which was so rhythmic and intuitive. So I think it's an improvement that Deadpool is able to just grab onto a wall and climb up it. To me, if that's all Techmoon had changed, I'd be a happy camper. But wait, there's more. The developers have found a way to incorporate Deadpool's healing ability into the game. For every 10 seconds Deadpool goes without taking damage, he recovers some health. There's a little countdown clock in the status bar to help you keep track. Pretty neat stuff. Like the tutorial stage, this feels like a distinctly modern touch within this Deadpool game, and it's great if you're a fan of classic gaming and superhero games on classic consoles, not to see the main character being depowered in some way just to make the game more challenging. Conversely, if you're worried that having quick healing ability is going to make it less challenging, I wouldn't worry about it because it's not. What does amp up the fun though is Deadpool's vast array of secondary weapons, all of which are entirely character appropriate. You've got a handgun, a machine gun, a guided rocket, but by far the coolest is a teleportation attack, which allows you to scratch enemies in those hard to reach places. So the teleportation attack is cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's super fun to use, and number two, I can't think of any platform games on the NES that utilise it, so it feels really inventive. I've just realised as soon as saying this, someone's going to be going down to the comments and leaving a big list of platform games with a teleportation attack in it, so I've walked right into that. Let's move on and talk about the bad guys. There is mass proliferation of enemies in Deadpool, not just in the game, but on the screen at the same time. In fact, one of the things that most impressed me was how well the game captures that madcap kinetic action that I associate with the movies and the comics. As it's Deadpool, I'm sure a lot of people are expecting a lot of intertextuality and reference humour, and on that front, you're not going to be disappointed. Across the runtime of the game, playtime of the game, playtime seems weird, runtime doesn't seem right, I don't know. Throughout the game, you're going to meet a lot of enemies such as Batman, Carnage, and even the big man himself, Thanos, makes an appearance. There are loads more, but I don't want to ruin it for you because one of the pleasures is coming across them as you play. And speaking of familiar faces, if you're a fan of Ninja Gaiden, some of the bosses are probably going to look a little bit familiar to you. But they've all been arranged and tweaked in such a way I don't think it will be routine for even fans of the original series. Difficulty wise, I found some of them pretty hard going, particularly this guy here, but that just made it all the more satisfying when I finally blew him up. In terms of level design, stages and colour palettes have all been significantly altered from the original game, so it never feels like you're just playing Ninja Gaiden with Deadpool dropped into it. Instead, I'd describe it as getting an occasional feeling of deja vu, a sense that you've been here before but you can't really remember when or why. And here's another unusual feeling you'll get while playing Deadpool, being genuinely excited to see a cutscene. Each level is followed directly by a cutscene, and I'm pleased to say they feel like cutscenes done right. A little narrative reward for reaching the next stage. Techmoon have done a great job of capturing Deadpool's character in all his fourth wall breaking glory, and jokes abound throughout. The music for Deadpool is also great, and there are some fantastic original tracks on here, but that said, the standouts have got to be the 8-bit arrangements of X Gonna Give It To You and George Michael's immortal classic, Careless Whispers. So yeah, that's Techmoon's Deadpool for the NES. Frantic action, fun gameplay, and killer cutscenes, all adding up to something much, much more than just another NES hack. In fact, I would argue, adding up to the second best superhero game available on the NES system. It's a big statement, but you know, episode 3, so let's push the boat out. I should also mention at this point, there's actually another version of the Deadpool game available called Deadpool Hardcore Edition. I'll put a link in the description, and this is for people who are actually good in Ninja Gaiden and by extension Deadpool, unlike Muggins here. It's tough, but there's a few little treats in there that are going to sweeten the pill, so yeah, check it out. So yeah, that's our show for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the show, you could always consider hitting the like button or the subscribe button, that would be nice. And if you haven't enjoyed and you're still, for some reason, still watching at the end, you've maybe been frozen to the spot with a rage. Sorry about that. I'll try and improve in future. So yeah, coming up in the next couple of weeks, got a few surprises. I don't want to actually say what they are because I've learnt my lesson from the Micro Mages incident, haven't I? Don't promote until you know you're gonna get it done. Yeah, please stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.